Hey guys, welcome to week 9. So this week you are going to be finishing up your personal site plans, and you're also going to be finishing up the whitewater rafting site. So we already finished up the home page, and we also got some wireframes created for those child pages. So this week you're going to be coding those child pages, or actually you'll only have to do one. So you'll be doing one of those child pages, and then you'll be wrapping up your personal site plan. So I'm going to walk you through both of those assignments. If it's self-explanatory to you, you can stop watching this video. But if you would like further explanation, please continue to watch. Also, real fast, I want to point out we do have this optional discussion board. There is not a required discussion board. However, as you guys are coding your websites completely on your own, there's not much guidance this week. I think that this discussion board is going to be a really great tool for you. So you can use it for both assignments if you want. If you want, you can ask for peer reviews on your site plans, and you can also ask for any help that you need on your child page when you're working on it. So this will be a really great tool. Okay, so let's look at the personal site. So first of all, this is not quite an instruction, but it's just something to be aware of. So your personal site plan, this site plan is for your final personal site. So we're going to be working on it in subsequent weeks, but in the end, it's going to be your final. This is your final project, okay? And so it's really important that you pay attention to these final website requirements so that you're taking them into account as you do your planning. So your final website needs to have 2 child pages, and one of the child pages needs to incorporate a form. So keep that in mind. If you didn't pick a child page that's going to incorporate a form, try to consider maybe how can I incorporate a form, or switch to a child page that would incorporate a form. One of the third requirement is that it needs to be hosted on the web. So we use Glitch, and so by default that's hosted on the web. So that should be a pretty easy one to get. Each web page must satisfy the following requirements. So it needs to have significant textual content. And while that's a little bit subjective, basically, your pages shouldn't feel incomplete, okay? If you just put like one sentence, it's probably not significant content. You know, I can generally tell while I'm grading if you've put work into it or not. So just keep that in mind. Your pages should feel complete. Again, at least one image needs to be on each page. Each page needs to have working links. So in your header, where you have that navigation, those links should work. Also, everything needs to be laid out and styled according to your site plan. So I'll be checking back in your site plan and your wireframes to make sure that everything is how you planned for it. And if your plans change, that's okay. Just update your site plan. And then lastly, it needs to be visually appealing and easily readable. So again, that's a little bit subjective, but think about text colors. The text colors should be easy to read. It shouldn't be too light or too bright where it's difficult to read. Also, the use of headlines makes things more readable. So just pay attention to that. Okay, so now getting into the activity directions. For the most part, you've completed most of your site plan up until now, so the only thing missing is your wireframes. Last week you created wireframes, so you should be familiar with how to do this. You'll need to create a wireframe for your homepage and then also your 2 child pages. And you'll want to add those into your site plan, because this week you're turning in your site plan and I want to see those wireframes on the website. Last week you turned in the wireframes via an image or a document or whatever, but this week I'm expecting your website link. Okay, and then so again, you'll create your other wireframes, so your home page and your 2 child pages, and then you're just going to verify that you have all the requirements. So here's all the requirements, guys. This green box is very important because this is exactly what I grade on. I'm looking for your purpose and audience. I'm looking for your color schemes and that it's been implemented well. Also your fonts. I'm looking for that you have content for each of the pages and that it's well defined and added to the plan. And then also I'm looking for the wireframes that you are creating this week. So if on any of the weeks you slacked on any of this, you're still getting graded on it this week. So just look through your wireframe. Does it look complete? Did you do all the pieces? Remember back to our week the week 2 that we did the site plan for the whitewater rafting site. But think back to that. Were there things that you missed points on? If so, make sure that those are included in this site plan. So just make sure that you have everything, and then you can turn that in. And then for the second thing that you'll be doing is your final dry ore website. So you pick 2 child pages. You actually only have to create the code for one of them. So again, it needs to have significant content. For a lot of these pages, the content is provided for you, so you can come up with your own if you want, but you're also welcome to use the content that was provided and then also pick an image. Your link should work, so I'm going to check that, and then also visually appealing, which we talked about, but there's more on it at the bottom of the instructions here. So step 1 is to review feedback. So if anyone gave you feedback on how you can improve your website, pay attention to that and try to implement it. The next is to create your HTML file and get your starting code in there. So I'm going to create a video for that. It'll probably be much shorter than the one you're watching right now. And I'll go over how to do that. And then after that, you're going to have to add your new content on your own and make it look like your wireframes. And so that might be a little bit of a challenge for some of you, because a lot of these assignments have been much more guided, telling you exactly how to write your HTML, exactly how to apply the CSS. And this one doesn't do that. But I want to remind you that you have learned everything that you need to have learned up until this point to be able to do this. So you have all the tools that you need. You can look back on previous weeks if you need to look back on other examples, or read another article, or check out or do a refresher on a Khan Academy lesson. You have all the resources at your disposal. And then also, again, there is the discussion board, so you can ask your peers for help. And then I'm available for appointments, and then the tutoring center is available as well. So there's a lot of resources for you at your disposal, and you can definitely do this. Lastly, I just want to talk about validation. So you guys have gotten pretty used to doing your HTML validation. But we haven't explicitly talked about CSS validation, and I am expecting you guys to do that this week. So the CSS validation, you can just visit this website, and just like with HTML validation, you can put in the direct input here, or you can enter the URL here and check it. And you'll be able to find CSS errors and fix them. If there are any errors in your CSS or your HTML, I will be taking points off. That's worth 5 points. I usually only take off 1 point if there are just minor errors, but if there are, and by minor errors, I mean like maybe one error. But if there are lots of errors, you get more points taken off. So it's very important that you validate your code so that you can get the points. And then also there's more details here on how to get your points. So just make sure that you have all your requirements. And then again, if you're still struggling to understand what visually appealing and significant content mean, read through this, because it gives a good guide. If you're still struggling, feel free to, add your website for review into the optional discussion board, and you can get some feedback from me and your peers on whether it's visually appealing or has significant content. So with that, those are your assignments this week, and I know you guys can do it, and I'm looking forward to seeing your work.